What is up, guys? Welcome back to another quick video here on the Fantasy Fellowship channel. My name is Kyle. We're going to show you guys the Week 13 fantasy points allowed charts. You guys can access these at the link in the description. It's basically thefantasyfellowship.com. You can hover over content and just hit fantasy points allowed. And this is some really useful information here. Essentially, it's going to show us who to start and who to avoid. At the top of the list here, we have total PPR points allowed by defense. Now, this is combining QB, RB, receiver, and tight end. So right now, the Lions, one of the teams that you want to start your players against. So they allow almost 100 points per game in fantasy here. Cardinals are on bye, so we can't take advantage of that. But you have to like the Chargers matchup this week. You got to like the Jets, the Steelers, the Bengals. So yeah, the way to read this is these teams right here are allowing the most fantasy points per game. And these are their opponents for week 13. So you want to use these players here. And then basically green means start. Red is bad. So the teams that are, not allowing a lot of fantasy points here, that's the 49ers, the Broncos, the Patriots, the Bengals, the Jets. These are your top 5 defenses in fantasy points allowed. Now, all of this is PPR stats. As we get further down the list, we'll find some more half PPR and standard if you need it. But essentially, I mean, it's a tough matchup for the Dolphins and Tua and those guys there. The Ravens are in for a tough matchup against the Broncos. The Buffalo Bills, we might see their offense hasn't really been great lately, but they might struggle against the Patriots at home. The Chiefs are going to have to go against the Bengals. They've been pretty stingy on D. And then the Minnesota Vikings offense getting a tough one against the Jets at Minnesota here. So that's how you read these charts. Again, this one at the top, it's just showing you which team allows the most fantasy points per game. So essentially, these are your bad defenses. When you see these defenses for your opponents, you're like, yes, I want Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk and those guys against the Lions. So that's how you read that one. Let's look at the quarterback position real quick. The Lions are the worst team against the QB. They allow almost 23.6 points per game. That's with 4-point passing touchdowns. And then I use basically 25 yards equals a point for passing. So the Lions, Trevor Lawrence, again, you want to start Trevor Lawrence this weekend. It's in Detroit. It's a good atmosphere for quarterback points. The Raiders allowing the second most points here. They're going to get Justin Herbert and the Chargers. So I expect Herbert. And Herbert, the last 2 games, man, he looks like he's back. That Chargers offense looks so much better with Keenan Allen. Hopefully they can get Mike Williams back. But you love Herbert. You love Trevor Lawrence. The Cardinals are on bye. But Jimmy Garoppolo has a pretty good matchup here. And then Mike White has a pretty good matchup here, as well as Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. Even Jared Goff. So these are the week 13 plays here at quarterback that you love to see. Teams that might struggle this week based on quarterback is going to be Ryan Tannehill. He's going to get the Philadelphia Eagles. They allow only 11.4 points per game to the position. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense could struggle. We know the Broncos offense is ugly, but their defense, man, is a pretty good defense. So watch out for Lamar. He might be down for a not so great game. And then you have Deshaun Watson, his first game with the Cleveland Browns, but everybody just decides to run the ball on the Texans, and they don't really get a lot of passing stats here. So only 10 passing touchdowns on them all season. QBs have thrown 7 interceptions. So limit your expectations for Deshaun Watson this weekend, as well as Tua Tagovailoa. Even Patrick Mahomes, he might be in for a game below his average. So again, these bottom 10 teams here, these are teams that you're kind of nervous about if your quarterback's going against them. So we'll move on to the running back position here, and that's where you see the half PPR and the standard come in. And essentially, it really doesn't matter what your scoring format is. Bad teams are bad no matter what format. You see all the green here is very reflective. Now, there is some, discrepancies a little bit, but for the most part, format doesn't matter. You want to start running backs against the Seahawks, the Texans, the Browns, the Chargers, and the Raiders. All these teams here allowing almost 30-plus fantasy points per game to the position. So the Rams, they're going to get Kyren Williams a shot. He's a decent flex start this weekend. You got to like Nick Chubb. You got to like Dameon Pierce. I know he's been ugly the last couple games, but Dameon Pierce is in line for a good matchup. And then Josh Jacobs, we'll see if he's healthy to go in this one. And then Austin Eckler is probably going to destroy the Raiders here, as well as the Packers running backs against the Bears. I like that matchup there. So start these running backs. These are all great matchups. And then down here, some tough matchups. Teams that are not allowing a lot of wide running back points. You have the Patriots, the Niners, the Bucks, the Commanders, and the Cowboys. So tough games for Jonathan Taylor, tough game for Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, and Jeff Wilson, and Devin Singletary. So these guys all have really tough matchups this week. Let's look at the wide receivers. Teams allowing the most points to the wide receiver. You have the Steelers, the Titans, the Ravens, the Lions, and the Vikings. So Drake London, maybe he comes through. He's a wide receiver 3 flex play this weekend. You got to love A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith in this one against Tennessee. It's in Philadelphia too, so you like that. Maybe Cortland Sutton has a big game against the Ravens. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones. I love that passing game against the Lions for the Jags. And then Mike White, again, he's got a good matchup for the QB. You got a good matchup for the wide receivers. I think Garrett Wilson and maybe even Elijah Moore might be interesting to us this weekend. And then look at the Cincinnati against the Chiefs here. You're going to want to start Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, start your Pittsburgh receivers as well. Teams that are going up against tough wide receiver defenses here. The Colts are pretty good. The Broncos, the Jets, the Bengals, and the Texans. So might be a tough game for CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. We shouldn't be starting any Ravens receivers, so no worries there. I'm super intrigued to see what Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen do against this New York Jets defense. So limit your expectations there. I know JJ's been hot. Thielen had a good game last weekend too, but it is a very tough matchup for these guys. And then the Chiefs receivers could struggle against the Bengals. And then again, we'll see. The Texans are a run funnel. Teams want to run the ball on them, so the receivers get kind of suppressed a little bit as well as the quarterback. So we'll see what happens there. It's also a tough matchup for Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. And then we'll wrap up with the tight ends. The Cardinals are on bye, but George Kittle has got a great matchup against the Dolphins. Evan Ingram's got a great matchup against the Lions. Maybe Tyler Higbee against the Seahawks. Dawson Knox against the Patriots. And then maybe Jawan Johnson against the Bucs. We'll see as we get further down the list here. Teams that are in tough matchups here. We don't really, have a Buccaneer tight end that we trust against the Saints. We don't have a Giants tight end against the Commanders, but Mike Gesicki, probably not going to rely on him against the Niners. The Colts, we saw Jelani Woods last night look pretty good, but I don't think we're going to start him against the Cowboys. The Texans don't really have a tight end to take advantage of here. Probably not going to use Robert Tonyan. Probably not going to use Cole Kmet. So a lot of these teams, we don't really use their tight end. So that's how you read that chart. But then I got a bonus chart for you guys. I put together a chart here showing fantasy points allowed over the last 5 weeks. So all of these charts are reflective. You can see all the games here, 12, 11 games for most teams. But I took the last 5 games, and this is just more of an accurate, description or snapshot of where these defenses are at. So not much changes. The Cardinals, the Vikings, the Lions, the Bears, and the Browns, all these defenses are really, really bad. And then the good defenses, we know who they are. The Patriots, the Niners, the Commanders, the Jets, and the Saints. Again, you want to avoid teams that are red here. So all of these defenses are top 10. And then I did put a tweet out. If you guys want to check out more of this, I have a link to the tweet here. Let's read the full conversation on Twitter. I put out the chart that you guys see here with all the fantasy positions, but I also put out the individual QB, running back, receiver, tight end charts. So those are for the last 5 games. You can see those charts, and hopefully they help you guys make decisions or help you guys make trades or whatever you need to. So that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like the video, subscribe if you are new. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers. And yeah, we'll see you guys in a live stream hopefully soon. Peace.